don't know how or where to begin. And I'm imagining that this is probably what most people who find out later in life that they're neurodivergent experience. Is that you don't really know how or where to begin because it feels like you're being birthed again. And the how and when don't necessarily matter because most of your life you've been living in a way that wasn't natural to how you were meant to. And I'm out here in nature, grounding myself. There's lots of nature song happening. Spirit was really pushing me to start sharing, speaking again, and I'm going to focus on not spending a lot of time in silence and kind of jumping into a stream of consciousness and word sharing, so that way you're not just sitting here watching me trying to figure out how to say everything that I want to say. Essentially, they tax us relentlessly. Sorry, Hamilton. I feel like my realization that I had already felt and known that I was autistic for quite some time, and that was something that I apparently went to go get assessed about as a child, and they said I wasn't. I was probably masking. And my mother is ADHD, so I already had an understanding. I knew I was autistic, but I didn't know about the ADHD part until I started I've logged countless hours now listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, reading Reddit threads, watching reels, reading posts, reading books. And it is pretty clear to me that I'm not just autistic, I'm AuDHD. And having that piece to this puzzle finished the puzzle, essentially. Text us relentlessly. So I only came into the understanding of the ADHD part in the last 2 to 3 weeks at the time that I'm recording this and sharing this. And in a lot of ways, it seems like most people do discover that they have one aspect of themselves and then later on discover the other one. And it's like you're finally able to almost integrate your whole understanding of why things are still a struggle, even though you understood oh, I'm neurodivergent, okay, and trying to implement things to support yourself in that, and then things still are really difficult, and then finally getting more information, oh, I'm not just this flavor, I'm this flavor. Just recognizing that in the last 2 to 3 weeks has really created a reset within myself. And I want to say, as I'm being called to start a new YouTube channel, I already had a YouTube channel that it took a really long time to build and create, but there are people on it who I don't want to know that I'm talking about this, so I have to create another one, which in a big way you could say it's still me masking, but it's less about that and more about just wanting to create a safe space for myself and for those who will be watching, that I won't be feeling like I need to adjust anything that I'm saying or sharing subconsciously, because I know that there are people who are watching it who judge me and don't see me correctly and perceive me in a way that isn't true to who I am. So the reason I knew that I wasn't just autistic but also ADHD was when I watched, it was almost a culmination of things. I had read some books in Barnes & Noble. There's this girl that I had watched on YouTube for I didn't realize it, but it's been 3 years now. And so it's taken me 3 years to kind of accept the fact that I have this aspect of myself. But I realized it recently for real, like, oh no, this is accurate, because she was explaining and describing like the parts of autism that really thrive on routine, that really thrive in consistency and structure and like creating like a harmonious flow within the day-to-day, but the ADHD requiring that newness, that aliveness, that like just in the now moment, going with the flow of what's occurring, kind of throwing off the autism part. I also was watching the podcast ADHD Love, and the husband on there is autistic and the wife is ADHD, and it was like I was watching two sides of me, and I was like, oh, I am both of these. Like, and my previous partner was ADHD, and I spent a lot of time learning about ADHD to support him and to help him, and I didn't focus on my autistic traits at all. I mean, I was already like, you don't, like, when you're autistic, you don't need to look up what it's like to be autistic, because you're just autistic and you like live that. But it's helpful to kind of learn some of the things that other people experience when they're an unmasked person, because I was definitely trying to be myself but also masking. But I spent so much time focusing on the fact that he was ADHD that I didn't focus on my autism, and I didn't even try to necessarily implement some of the things that I was doing to assist him, to assist myself. And so I kept kind of like falling by the wayside. And in a lot of ways, I recently learned about this Greek character named Sisyphus, who had cheated death twice. And so in his actual final death, he was tasked with rolling a boulder up a hill over and over again, because it would keep falling down before he got it to the top. And in a lot of ways, life has kind of been feeling like that. Like, I keep rolling something, whatever it may be, whatever I'm hyper focusing on, whatever I'm thinking is going to solve the problem of like feeling so burnt out, so chronically fatigued, just like Groundhog Day, really. Pushing the same like whatever boulder it may be, up the hill, and then it falling down, up the hill, falling down. And it wasn't until these last 2 to 3 weeks where, and the reason I had this time and space, I've been living out of my car. I'm no longer welcome in my home environment that I was in with my mom and my sister. I couldn't afford what was being asked to pay. And so I left, but apparently that was taken the wrong way. It was taken as if I'm too good to pay. I literally just don't have the means and energy and time and space to do that and try to like heal. And so it's a long story, but I am not there. So I've been living out of my car. I've lived out of my car before. This time I have more stuff. This time the car is older. This time I'm making my means of money through the car, which is door dashing. And now the brakes are getting like really upset. I like struggled to make the money just to like change the oil recently so I could continue to use it to DoorDash to make money. So I got invited to cat sit for my friend while he's doing stuff to move out of this place back and forth from his hometown to here. So I've been watching his cat for him, and I finally had the time and space to sit, to do nothing. Of course, I was invited to do this on top of the fact that, like, sorry, this is a lot, but I needed to like have this kind of be like the intro to the channel, because this is where I'm at right now. I, for like the last number of years, it's not that I didn't take care of my oral health, but I did a lot of things to evade going to the dentist. So I brush, floss, oil pull, tongue scrape, you name it, I was doing it. But I had already for like 10-15 years had a cavity in a tooth that never bothered me, and it was quite small, and so if it doesn't hurt, I don't do anything about it, and so I didn't. And then finally, during my Saturn return, Saturn is Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn rising. Capricorn rules the bones. Teeth are bones. Saturn was in my second house. The second house rules the mouth. So I knew something was going to happen with my tooth. What I didn't realize was that at the end of my Saturn return, which I've, exited out of it, and I'm I'm on the other side, and I'm supposed to be integrating all this, what I didn't recognize was that Saturn was going to take the tooth. So I don't have that tooth anymore. I got it taken out a week and a half ago now. And that was very visual, out in this reality, wake up moment for me of like, you're 32. I'm about to be 33 in a couple days. You're 32 and you no longer have one of your adult teeth. Why did this happen? How did this happen? How did we get here? How has this unfolded for you? And so much of it I know was based on having almost my entire life, and most of you can probably resonate with this, being programmed around living typical, living like the program wants you to live. And I'm really grateful that I was brought into my spiritual awakening before I was brought into my awareness of my neurodivergence. Because, sorry, mosquito, having my neurodivergent experience after my spiritual awakening, I feel is a healthier way to understand that there are two sides to every coin. And a lot of what I understand to be neurodivergence, I could also understand through my spiritual experience being a starseed. That's neither here nor there. I'm saying all of that to say all of these things came tumbling into my reality in the last month. The tooth was like that final, like, okay, yeah, something's not working right, because I'm about to be 33. I've just had a tooth taken out. I'm living out of my car. I don't have a consistent means of income. I'm chronically burnt out and fatigued. Now living out of the car, I'm recognizing I'm way more sensitive to the world because obviously I'm out in the world more. I'm not hidden away in a home environment. So I'm wearing sunglasses more. I'm listening to music all day long to kind of block out the noise. I'm trying to create these really structured routines for myself so that I can just stay some sort of regulated. The only place that I feel calm and restful is in nature. I was starting to get to a point where I was a little hopeful, and then I went to go stop at my mom's house to change the oil in my car, and that was like the day where it was like, okay, yeah, you're AuDHD, girl. And I titled this video, "So I'm AuDHD, now what?" because it's one thing to know that something is a part of your experience and that it's like it's the template that I'm living with, but I haven't been utilizing that template and what it looks like to start living from that template and like allowing that to be the template that I live by, and whatever doesn't fit in that template falling away. And that's already looked like my relationship with my mother, potentially my relationship with my sister. I don't have any friends really, except for this is a previous partner's house that I'm staying at, who I'm cat sitting for. So he's ADHD, and I've really only ever had the time, space, and energy to cultivate relationships with romantic partners, and haven't had the time, space, and energy to really devote to a friendship, really. And I've wanted to, but every time I try to create one, oh God, I'm not going to get into that. That'll be another video for another day. But now I'm wondering, okay, so I'm AuDHD, now what? I feel like the first step is you have to start unmasking. It's recognizing, okay, so that's what I have as a part of this is part of my experience in this life, is to have this type of brain, this type of spirit, this type of soul, this type of, way of being that most of the world isn't programmed with. How do I move through this world and honor myself now, instead of continuing to try to live the way that I've been asked and programmed to live that clearly isn't working for me? Clearly. I've tried to live by this programmed, normal, I think that they call it holistic, template for 32 years, and all I've got to show for that is a missing tooth and a vehicle I'm living out of that doesn't even belong to me. And I'm not trying to make this video kind of like close out on like a low note or a negative note, but what I'm focusing on now and starting to do now is really go back to like, I'm a baby. Go back to, okay, this is me as my inner child, little me. What do I need to do? What can I do for myself? No matter what that looks like, no matter what it sounds like, no matter what it feels like, no matter who it makes angry, no matter who it triggers, no matter what perception it creates of me from other people. And I know that's really like bold of me to say based on the fact that I'm creating a whole new YouTube channel in order to do this, but that's what I'm choosing to do for myself. And I don't want my family members to be a part of this, and to see this. This is for me, this is for you, this is for us. And I'm trusting that the things that I'll be sharing on here will be really beneficial, will be really helpful, healing, affirming, uplifting, reminding, awakening, activating for you in your path. And most of the videos that you'll be seeing for the next that I post will be this outfit, will be me sitting here, because I have finally got the urge, after sitting in the house for 3 weeks, like not being able to do anything or move or go out and like make money. I've gotten that like push from spirit or from my ADHD anxiousness. I'm like about to leave this house in 3 days. So now I have all this energy to like, okay, I need to record like a bunch of videos at once and just like word vomit everything that I've been thinking about and reflecting on and feeling into and sharing it all at once. So I'm just sitting here recording multiple videos, and I'm giving myself grace in that, because that's what it has to be. So if you're ADHD and you're looking for potentially a place where you can just let it all hang out, you can just start to like exhale, you can just start to process and like give yourself the gentility and the space to say, okay, this is what I have, now what? And to start taking your little baby steps as your little baby self, moving forward and exploring what the world looks like from this lens, from this perspective, from this template, then this will be a place that you can come to, and you can do that with me, because that's what I'm going to be doing. So thank you for listening to this. I'm sure it was all over the place. Like I said, I just kind of needed to let what came out come out. I trust that we'll be here on this channel will be really helpful, really healing, and holistic. So thank you for listening. Thank you for receiving. And the thing I used to say on my last channel, I will continue to do so here. As always, I'm sending you peace. I'm sending you love.